Hello, and welcome to Typing Agent as designed for homeschool families. Today, we're going to walk you through all the basics of this awesome program and how your kids can access lessons and become proficient typists while having a great time. When you first log into Typing Agent, you're going to land on this page here called your dashboard. By default, your classroom is called Home Classroom, and this is where you can see all your students' accounts. Underneath that, you're going to see the status of your license. This will tell you whether you're using a demo account, like when you first sign up, whether your payment is pending, that you've purchased, and as well as how many days you've got left. It's also going to let you know how many licenses you have. If you still need to purchase the program, you can click this blue Pay Online button and it'll take you through the credit card payment so you can get your account up and rolling. Further on, we've got the accounts of the students themselves. Here's where you're going to see the children's names, passwords, usernames, grades, total time spent typing in the program, and when they've last logged in. It's important to note that while your students have usernames and passwords they can use to log in to your custom Typing Agent domain, you can also easily log in as them. I'll get into that in a second. So if you check the checkbox next to your student's name, you're going to find this menu popping up here on the right. Here you can choose between various options like accommodations, resetting passwords, printing login cards, logging in as the student, or editing the student. So when you select accommodations, you can adjust a whole lot of the student's experience. The first tab you're going to find yourself is at the Target Settings tab. Here's where you can adjust how many words per minute and how accurately a student must type in order to earn 1, 2, or 3 stars. Now please remember that students should always prioritize accuracy and always strive for 2 or 3 stars at least. This will allow them to be the best typists they can be. So then we can come up here and go to the Settings tab. Here's where you can decide a multitude of things. You can require the correct letter. That means that the student can't move on in their lessons until they write, the correct letter. Allowing backspace means that they can backspace and retype a letter should they get it wrong. Bypassing experience points means that a student won't need to earn experience points in their main curriculum before they play games. Enabling grit coins means that they can earn and purchase game time by working in their lessons. Hiding and locking the on-screen keyboard means that your student will either not be able to see the on-screen keyboard, or if you choose to lock it, that they won't be able to choose whether they see it or not. Skipping the placement test means that the test that is automatically administered at the beginning of Typing Agent won't be administered, and they'll just start with the home row. Viewing leaderboard means that the students in your home classroom can compete and view who's doing the best. Now, if this is going to create an adverse environment, you can always uncheck this so that they won't be concerned with the competition. But if it would get a fun edge, it's also a good idea. For your K2 students, disabling or enabling the mouse lesson means that students will not be required to work with a mouse on the first lesson of their Keyboarding Foundations K2 curriculum. To save any settings, go ahead and click Apply. So moving on to the Games tab, here's where you get to have some fun. You're going to be able to decide how many games are enabled, if you want to disable them and not students play them all together. You can decide whether they use grit coins where they can buy their game time, and you can also decide which games you'd like them to play. Under the Accessibility Options tab, you can customize the visual and physical layout for students. We've got a guide in our Help Center that focuses on ADA accommodations, and we are always doing our absolute best to ensure that Typing Agent will work for everyone. Here's where you can adjust font and the size of the font, and as well as the dexterity of one or both hands. You can use a high contrast keyboard that's going to imply a black background and stark white text, closed captioning for all videos and or other audio, and the text-to-speech to ensure all words on the page are read to the student. So when you're finished, you can come down here and click Apply. Now moving on to resetting passwords, that's just a simple way that you can reset your students' passwords. Printing login card will allow you to print the login cards with your Typing Agent domain, so where you're going to log in, and the student's username and password. This is going to be really easy for students to be able to know how to log in on their own. When you've finished, you can come down here and select Print. Moving on, logging in as your students, like I mentioned before, is that you can come here and click Login As through your account. Your student can log in as themselves and work in the program. This is another way to sign on. When you're finished, you can come up here and select Return to Admin to go back to your own account. So let's go ahead and trigger that menu again. Now we can edit the student. This is where you're going to go to change name, username, password, grade, as well as resetting their entire progress if you see fit. This means that they're going to take the placement test and start from the beginning. It's permanent, just so you know. When you're finished, of course, come down here and select Update. Now, from the Students tab, we can move on to the Gradebook tab from your dashboard. Here's where you're going to find the letter grade, speed, accuracy, and total time spent in the program for all your students. This Gradebook makes for an excellent report card. Moving on to reports, these are going to give you a more in-depth look at what your students are doing. First, select a curriculum, K2 or Keyboarding Foundations 3+, and then you can select either a summary or a detailed report. Now the summary report is going to show you which worlds they've created, average accuracy in words per minute, and how many stars they've earned with each lesson. This little legend right here will show you whether or not the student has gotten under 70% accuracy, whether they're still working on it, completed with 1 star or 0 stars, 2 stars, or 3 stars. A detailed report is going to give you the exact words per minute, grade, accuracy, time spent, as well as the progress. So this is going to be kind of like the gradebook, but you have that progress bar in here that shows you just how far they are along. Activity log is going to be where you're going to view you and your student's activity in Typing Agent. Class activity is going to show you any action you've taken in editing a student, whereas student activity will show you all progress that a student has made, as well as the time and date it was done. Finally, over here we've got our Help Center, where you can learn more about Typing Agent and all the cool things we do in the program. We're always branching out and updating our documents to make sure you get the best experience you and your kids can. If you don't see your question answered, always feel free to shoot us an email at support@typingagent.com. Until then, happy typing!